In a land where poverty steals dreams and injustice silences hope, one man dared to build freedom, not from steel or gold, but from wood. While others mocked, he carved with his hands, shaping not just cars, but symbols of dignity for his people. Each wheel turned by Ibrahim Traore wasn't just a vehicle, it was a message. Africa can move on its own power. But what happens when a simple act of creation threatens the powerful and awakens a nation's spirit? Will his wooden dream survive the fire of resistance? Before the world spoke his name, Ibrahim Traoré was just a man walking dusty roads lined with dreams and despair. Born into the heart of Burkina Faso, a land rich in spirit but scarred by poverty and corruption, he grew up watching his people struggle for dignity. The young soldier didn't chase luxury or fame. He chased purpose. His heart burned with a single belief: that Africa's true strength wasn't in foreign aid or empty promises, but in the hands of its own people. Each morning, he'd see children playing with broken toys, their laughter hiding hunger, their hope fading with every passing day. And every night, he'd ask himself, how long can a nation survive when its youth... But Ibrahim was different. He believed that change begins not with power, but with example. So he began small, building wooden cars with local hands, turning discarded scraps into symbols of innovation. To him, each creation was more than art. It was a declaration that Africa could create, build, and rise again. Yet, as his vision spread across villages and hearts, whispers began to grow louder. The powerful watched, uneasy, for a man who inspires the poor can shake the foundations of those who rule them. The wooden cars began as a humble idea, a quiet movement born from hope. But soon, they rolled far beyond the villages where Ibrahim first carved them. Children who once ran barefoot on dusty roads now gathered around these hand-built wonders, their eyes wide with funding
pride.
for his projects.
For the first time, they saw
vanished.
something made by
Those who
them,
helped him were
for them.
questioned.
A symbol
Some
that
even
Africa's
detained.
hands could
Trucks
build its
carrying
own future.
supplies were stopped
But
for
in the
inspection
shadows,
and never
not everyone
returned.
celebrated.
Yet the more the
movement
people
refused
admired
to
his
die.
work, the more the
people built
powerful
more,
grew restless.
carved more,
They didn't
shared
see
more.
wooden cars.
What started
they saw
as art
rebellion. A
was
man
becoming
inspiring the
revolution.
poor was dangerous.
Then came the moment
because
that
hope,
changed
once
everything.
awakened, cannot
One
be
morning,
controlled. Soldiers surrounded one of his community workshops. They confiscated the wooden cars, calling them illegal manufacturing. Children cried as they watched their creations smashed to pieces. It was more than wood being broken, it was their pride, their future, their hope. That night, Ibrahim stood before a small crowd beneath the dim light of a single lantern. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with fire. They can destroy what we make, he said softly, but they cannot destroy why we make it. And that line, that quiet defiance, spread across the nation like thunder. People began painting wooden car symbols on walls, on flags, on old t-shirts. It became more than a movement. It became a message. Africa will move on its own wheels. But as hope rose among the people, so did the danger around him. Powerful men now wanted him silenced, and soon, he would face a choice that could cost him everything. The night the soldiers came for him, the sky over Ouagadougou was heavy, as if the heavens themselves held their breath. Rumors had already spread. The government had issued orders to shut down all unauthorized movements. To them, Ibrahim's message of unity was no longer inspiration. It was insurrection. He stood before his workshop, the same place where laughter once echoed, where children's hands shaped hope from discarded wood. Now it was surrounded by armored trucks. Flashlights cut through the darkness like blades. A commander stepped forward, barking orders. "You are under arrest for inciting rebellion." But Ibrahim didn't flinch. He looked at the faces behind the rifles, young soldiers, the very sons of the people he fought for. "You think I am your enemy?" he said softly. "No, I am your mirror." For a moment the world seemed to stop. The commander hesitated, but power has no patience for hesitation. A single shout broke the silence, and chaos erupted. Tear gas filled the air, people screamed, and the wooden cars, those symbols of hope, were set ablaze. Flames devoured them one by one, their light flickering like dying stars. Yet amid the smoke, Ibrahim did not run. He raised a charred piece of wood, all that was left of a car, and shouted, "You can burn our hands, but not our dreams." The crowd erupted in chants, a wave of defiance that shook the night. Even the soldiers paused, torn between orders and conscience. By dawn, Ibrahim was gone. Taken, silenced, or vanished, no one knew. But what he left behind was unstoppable. Across the country, new workshops appeared, new hands carved, new hearts awakened. Because when one man dares to dream for his people, even chains can't stop the movement of freedom. But what would his sacrifice truly mean for Africa's future? And who would rise next to carry the flame? Days turned into weeks, and still, no one knew where Ibrahim was. Some whispered he had been taken. Others said he had gone underground. But wherever he was, his presence was everywhere. In the carvings, in the chants, in the fire that refused to die. The wooden cars, once seen as simple toys, had become sacred symbols. They appeared on murals, in classrooms, in the hands of children who now said proudly, "We can build our own future." His dream had outgrown him, spreading from one nation to another, from one heart to millions. In markets and cities, people began speaking differently, not of what Africa lacked, but of what Africa could create, and that shift, that spark of belief, was more powerful than any revolution, because true change doesn't begin with bullets or speeches, it begins with belief. Leaders across the continent took notice. Some feared the movement, while others were inspired to act, to serve, not rule. Ibrahim's story reminded them that leadership isn't about thrones or titles, it's about standing when standing means risk, and giving when giving means sacrifice. Years may pass and his wooden cars may fade with time, but the idea they carried, that Africa can move by its own hands, will never vanish. Because every generation needs someone brave enough to dream beyond fear, someone to remind us that even the smallest act, a carved wheel, a simple gesture, can turn into a revolution of hearts. And now, the question remains, if one man's hands could ignite hope across a nation, what could millions of hands do?